Problem is, sync. Right,
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Hi. We are live.
We're live.
Underground Social.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome, Mom, Dad. Just in case you're listening.
I'm slightly delirious. Just came out of hospital after a general anaesthetic and dosed up on a lot of painkillers. So bear with me on this one.
And I have just visited Mr. Ian. He has been unfortunately in hospital. He's got a bad knee, so I've come to bring him love to do our first podcast.
Is that okay?
I think that was the previous. Oh,
that was fine. That was a good intro.
it was a good intro. We can do it again.
We just pressed the red one. Thanks. That stopped then.
I wonder if that's the last day.
Yeah, you can do a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, done on that one.
It's done. Keep it. That's cool. And we are live.
Welcome everybody.
Social Underground number 1. In fact, it's not even called Social Underground.
Underground Social.
Oh shit.
So even though I'm the one that's delirious, just came out of hospital, drugged up to the skies, I think Ollie's had a particularly difficult
I've had
day.
12 hours of the chaos that is our day-to-day lives, which is fun. So I think we should start by saying why we're doing this.
Yeah, for sure. I think for us, we've been on this crazy roller coaster, amazing journey that is social changing the way people view the world in terms of how a workplace should look like. We've got dogs running around, slides, ball pits. We try and create an environment where everyone loves to come to work every day. To the work that we do with clients on social, on Instagram. I can remember when we first started and some brands didn't even have a Twitter, didn't even have a Facebook. And now they're investing hundreds of thousands of pounds into these specific mediums, and because it's changing every day, it's so exciting for us to try and develop a lot of different creative concepts and really push social marketing as the primary for a lot of the brands that we work with.
I personally am doing this for more selfish reasons than Alex. Alex is much more of a visionary than I am. I'm doing this because, one, I'm a huge fan of podcasting. I love the medium. It's the only way I get to see what's going off in the world. I'm incredibly inspired by podcasts. I learn a lot from podcasts. I often preach podcasting to everyone. So the vision was, why not do it? And I think it's an opportunity to channel, 1, talk about things that you care about, 2, have a good chat with your mates, 3, potentially nurture your own skills, your ability to talk, your unfiltered having a conversation with a mate. And I think the interesting thing about what we're doing, we just don't have a clue what this podcast is going to turn into or what we want it to be, which I think that's exciting. I find that exciting that we're going to try and figure this out. I personally have an interest in talking to interesting people and understanding their story and really delving deep. So hopefully over the course, and we're going to try and do this every single week now for the indefinite future, we're going to try and bring new people in and interesting people that will inspire, educate, inform, or just goddamn make you laugh. And that's what we're trying to do.
And I think the main, we talk a lot about documenting for our clients, documenting their journey, really getting across the ups, the downs, and being authentic. And I think, why don't we practice what we preach and really show our journey, the social change journey, Ollie's personal journey, my personal journey, and the environment that we're in. We're learning so much every day that I think will be really valuable for people listening and other people going through similar situations, to know that we're going through just as many challenges each and every day, and how we've learned to overcome some of those. So yeah, super excited. Day 1, Social Underground.
Underground
Social.
I'll let him off. He's
we're one on one.
He's had 3 codeines today.
Yeah.
He's not had a shower for 48 hours. He's probably not ate, although I can see some milk drops.
Well, the diet starts on Monday.
Diet starts on Monday. Coming at you soon in the near future. A diet. So me and Alex, how long have we known each other now?
So we've known each other, I would say, 9 months.
9 months.
Nearly our 1 year anniversary.
And we nearly our 1 year anniversary.
Moses.
We spend too much time together, and we go to the gym together. We spend 10 to 12 hours a day working together, and I think we get on.
Yeah. Just for context as well, that probably one of the main reasons that Ollie is a big podcaster, and one of the reasons why we were able to entice him over from his previous work at Bauer, who are a global radio media outlet, would you say? So.
That's right.
But he lives in Sheffield, or near Sheffield, somewhere north. Somewhere north of where we are.
Yorkshire. But
his drive every day. This just shows the commitment and attitude he has towards social chain and what we're growing and building. Is he drives an hour and a half to 2 hours one way every day into work. So I think you get an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the evening. Listen to podcasts.
I get a lot of time listening to podcasts. I'm not a morning person. I wasn't a morning person 9 months ago, which is interesting because I've got this thing about, they say it takes 3 months to create a habit, and it took me fucking way longer than 3 months to get the sleep habit. But I think I've got it now. I can wake up quite early, pretty easy.
And that's probably one of the biggest improvements that you can make. We've recently started going to the gym with Dodds, who films Steve's YouTube videos and follows him around on an everyday basis. And he started to come early. I think we go about 7ish, between 7 and half 7, so we're up about 6:30. Ollie's up about 5. But that even just getting up and forcing yourself to get up that hour early or that 2 hours early makes such an impact on your day because you've got that extra time. Super useful, because when you think, I've got no time in the day, just setting your alarm and having that little bit less sleep, as long as you still get a good night's sleep, is I think game changing. Bird, game changing. But that's and it's a time period where you can really get a lot done before people come to work and get yourself pumped for the day.
You know what's really interesting, because you just said that. So as we talk, we don't have a clue what we're doing in terms of podcasting, so we're just going to have a chat. Hopefully it's entertaining, and we're going to learn some things. So Alex just said Sam Budd. So we're fortunate, and he said Dodds, who's Steve, and we're very fortunate that we have interesting people in our lives, and we get to meet interesting characters, work with interesting characters that all have their own crazy stories, and without a doubt Sam Budd has some of the craziest stories. So I think we're going to dedicate, at some point he's going to get his own dedicated, in fact when he's back from New York. So Sam Budd, give you some context, he's Managing Director of Social Chain USA. He went out there 3 months ago, 2 months ago, something like that. And he's one of a kind, and he's got some stories, and he'll be back soon. So I think 100% he's going to be one of our guests.
Yeah, definitely one of our guests. And for those of you who don't know Steve Bartlett, he's our CEO, co-founder of Social Chain. Very inspirational guy, great friend, that we've been fortunate to really become very close to over the last 2.5, 3 years personally. So I'm sure we'll get him on as well. He's, I think, about to delve into podcasting himself.
We've been knocking on this podcasting door with Steve and his team for a long time. And I think he's gonna dive in. He's getting some feedback. So Steve, what he does a daily vlog. So he has cameras intruding in every aspect of his life, and he's a big proponent of the personal brand and building your own brand and building your audience and inspiring others. What's really interesting is I think we want to try and emulate on some of his successes, but also go on our own journey. I think again we really don't understand what we have so many interesting conversations together, and I think we have loads of interesting conversations with people. So at every opportunity we can, we're probably going to try and document that. A week ago on the train we meet a cool cat called Tambo, and he's got a crazy good story. He challenges stereotypes. He's living this unusual life, very articulate, funny. And we ended up getting in a really in-depth conversation. And it's funny that actually you go through your lives, and it may be with people you speak to, your friends, your family, and it's not that common to have these really in-depth conversations. And that's one of the beauties of podcasting. I think what you can do is you've got this unfiltered, no one's looking at the phone, you're not checking your WhatsApp, an email's not coming in, you're not doing all the distraction of day-to-day life, and you're just talking and seeing where it goes. And you know what, we're probably not that comfortable at the minute. We're speaking, we're aware that we're filming, we're aware that we're having to talk. But I think as we progress and get into this podcasting world, I think it's going to develop so many aspects of our lives that relate to us day jobs. But also I think it'll extend our network, and we'll find people that we really like and that we're really interested in and gravitate towards, which is really interesting. Right, I'm gonna flip switches here, and we're gonna go into something we both give lots of fucks about, and this is
a big topic.
Big topic. McGregor Mayweather.
What
are you saying, Ian?
And today, I don't know if you saw.
Well, no, I've not been in hospital all day. I've been working today. Someone has been working.
You know, I've been high on some coding, but basically we've acquired one of the biggest gaming communities in the world off a gentleman called Jeff, great guy.
Jeff, I got some stories about Jeff.
He lives in America, but you met him in Vegas to finalise some of the details of the final deal. But he has been able to get a shout out from one of Mayweather's training partners today or yesterday. Screenshot it on my phone, and it's him training with Mayweather, and he gives a shout out to Steve, gives a shout out to Showtime. So I'm kind of conflicted because he shouted us out, but we're both big MMA fans.
We hug McGregor's nuts.
Yeah.
Like Alex has a McGregor poster on his wall, which Alex's girlfriend is fortunate enough to bring down. My girlfriend, on the other hand, would have tore that down within seconds. That would have never made the wall.
Mine's for safety purposes. It's the first thing you see as you come in, so you know if you're breaking in, you know this is a serious house, and if anyone's around, then it wasn't a great idea to break in. So I've got McGregor first thing you see, looking very angry. And I think for me, one of the things I've always grown up in Manchester in the 90s. Big Manchester United fan, with the class of '92, big underdogs. You had Alan Hansen saying you can't win anything with kids. That whole mentality at the very beginning was very much inspired a lot of what my characteristic today. And I feel McGregor has very similar views and self-belief, confidence as Ferguson and as those people who really had the basic raw skills, but not necessarily the right to even be playing in that league, and in '99 winning the treble, at the level we were at then, still with a lot of kids in that team, but it was that self-belief, drive, attitude, work ethic, which I see a lot in Conor McGregor, which is why I really want him to do the business.
And to give you context, Alex is very much a romantic in his visions. He romanticises about Man United. McGregor epitomised everything we believe in. We're both, and there's a fine line. I wouldn't ever call us cocky, but we've got a lot of confidence in everything we do. Yeah. We're starting a podcast on Alex's new sofa after he's had an operation, and in both our heads, we genuinely think this is we're going to have 10 million listeners. In 2 years' time, there's going to be 10 million of you listening to this. That's how delusional we are in our thinking, which is good.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people I've heard I've seen like the inspirational video from Will Smith, and so many people like that, real successful people, and they all talk about this vision and this optimism and this and having that. What that does is means when you get shit thrown at you, actually you're so optimistic, and that belief will just drive you through anything. It drives you through anything you think of, and actually then you look at life so more positively. And I think every time I speak to you, as soon as you talk about Man United, you put that tone on.
Yeah.
And you talk about as soon as you talk about McGregor, it's people like you're inspired by people that have belief. That's a common theme, I think, with you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what successful people have in common is that ability to really dream big. And even though there's a lot of no's, and I'll tell you what, even with social chain, even on a day-to-day now, people see it, and they see the big office, we've got 3 offices around the world, looks like a big success story from the outside looking in, but there is challenge after challenge after challenge every day,
100%.
no after no after no, And just having that inner confidence, that inner belief, probably more so than confidence, that what you're doing is different and is probably half the reason why people are saying no and doubting it, because they've not been able to do it. Whether it's a hint of jealousy, whether it's a hint of disbelief, whether it's a hint of just lack of information. Like my parents didn't believe in social chain at the beginning because they'd never seen anything like that. So when I've dropped out of my graduate scheme with Virgin and gone with these two guys in a big empty warehouse, met these two guys, and it was just very much a vision back then. It's very difficult.
Talk about that story because that's super interesting.
Yeah.
And we've had these conversations about there's pivotal moments in your life. Like Alex today, he's incredibly successful. To you, you'll never consider yourself successful because you're always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, you're very successful. You're good at what you do. But if you go back to the start, it's not where you are today, but it's the choices that you made in the past.
Yeah.
And there's a guy called, I forgot his name, so I'm not going to credit him. But he's called John something. I can't remember. John Krause, I think his name is, and he runs sports science in the US, which he's spoken to for the last 15 years, spoken to the most exceptional athletes on the planet. And one common theme he had from them was not that they're a genetic athlete. He said, yeah, there's loads of genetic athletes that don't make it. Not that they worked hard, not that they're talented. There's loads of talented people out there that don't work hard. What he said is they've all had these pivotal moments in their life that have either inspired them to go on to do great things or motivated them to, or put their life in a trajectory that allowed them to fulfill their potential. I think most people go through life not fulfilling their potential.
Yeah.
And the people who do, he sees that, and he does a full podcast, and I need to have a proper listen to it, but his full podcast is him interviewing people and trying to find out what their pivotal moment is. Yeah. So he'll have a conversation and he'll figure out what that is. And I think for you, one of yours is, and we talked about it, I think with Tambo, and one of the things you said, and it was your story of how you got into social chain. And listen how crazy this is from a guy that did all the things you're supposed to, get a university degree, went on then to get a very successful graduate scheme, a very acclaimed graduate scheme that paid really well. And go on, tell the story.
Yeah, so growing up, I was fortunate enough to go to private school. When you're at private school, the focus, as everyone will know, I mean across the board in general, the focus of the educational system is you have to pass an exam, which nowadays when I look at that, it's basically a lot to do with how well you've got memory retention, not how well you can think. You're getting marked to getting ticks in boxes, but you never really get a mark for thinking outside the box. So that was very much the case, focused on that, got into a university. As a lot of people out there, I think can relate to, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wasn't, didn't have a passion to do music or become a doctor. I was very much in that almost middle ground where I didn't know what I wanted to do. Education was the key in a lot of people's mind, my parents' mind, what everyone around me at school was doing. Got into Birmingham University, fantastic time, spent 4 years there. And I think even though probably my views differ slightly from Steve's in terms of education is potentially a drain on your resources and money, I had the best 4 years of my life. And I think in that period, the learnings for me weren't for the business degree, and a lot of the stuff that I learned in terms of marketing there is completely changed in today's world.
Social dynamics and things you learn from people.
It's the social dynamics and for me, emotional intelligence of being in so many different situations. From I was a bouncer on the Guild's nightclub every Saturday night, so all those different situations that you had to deal with, manage. Then it was working in a shop called Hollister, dealing with customers.
Can I pause there?
Let me just stop.
Working in a shop called Hollister. If you look at Alex on Facebook, if you look at his Facebook, it says former model at Hollister.
Mate, that's the title.
I got a screen grab.
That's the title.
Former model. He's a good-looking chap.
If you look
he's a very good-looking chap, but self-proclaimed former model of Hollister, big claims.
It says model over there but that's just the title you get given as the.
He was a cutie pie. Basically, he was a cutie pie. He was 16.
And anyway, so there.
What did he say?
I think we're gonna have to filter that one out. I'm not really sure. That's a loud
Cut that.
But we're then moving on into I was on the rugby team and the different situations you get put on, especially on tour, and doing lots of different activities, and I think the people skills are vital. Lived in Spain in my 3rd year, Barcelona. Big shout out to Barcelona. Would recommend anyone on the planet to visit Barcelona at least once in their life. Best city, I would say, in the world apart from Manchester.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad, yeah. And then after that, what the people, especially in university, you then start applying for graduate schemes. And I didn't really care about any graduate scheme, so I'm there applying for Deloitte, finance, and in my mind at that time I'm thinking like, what's going to pay the best? What am I going to have a good kind of life? And it wasn't really until I'd done 2 years on the Virgin graduate scheme, which I chose because it was very much entrepreneurial, visionary, and Richard Branson's a fantastic leader in that regard. It wasn't until I think it was just over 2 years on that, and I'd learned some great skills from pricing to mergers and acquisitions to sales, cold calling, fantastic business skills. But then I thought to myself, I really don't care about telecommunications. I don't,
Get away.
I wasn't inspired. I didn't grow up when I was 5, 6 years old, I think.
You didn't like cabling under the ground?
I don't want to, putting pipes ultimately putting pipes in the ground. And because you're a small cog in a big organisation, I feel the corporate ladder in terms of progression is so slow. Not just in terms of your progression up that ladder, but learnings. So your learnings that you have to stay in each role for years and years and years, repetition. When I just thought I feel like there's so much more value I could have added, and that's why I decided I dropped out of that. After 2 years, instead of carrying it on into becoming an actual employee of Virgin, moved back to Manchester, was looking into different things in terms of entrepreneurship, got onto an entrepreneur society in Manchester, did that for 1 week. The second week when I went there on the Monday, I happened to be walking along Portland Street where our current social chain office is. For those of you who know Manchester, it's from the McDonald's on Oxford Road. You go right on Portland Street and our office is just there with the Steve Jobs picture outside. Michael Heaven, who also works at Hollister, shout out.
Can I just interrupt on Michael Heaven? Beth, my girlfriend, she's in love with his name. Not in love with Michael Heaven, sounded weird. But she loves his name. She went, that's such a good name. And actually, when you think Michael Heaven is a sick name, and bearing in mind he's a legit model, not a Hollister. he's a real. Let's see, if we're talking models, he's been paid to model.
If you look at Michael Heaven on social, very good looking guy. Give him that.
Got no game though.
But he was a great friend of mine. We worked at Hollister together. Also played rugby together at university, and when we were both in Manchester at school level. He was with Stephen Dom, Cahill, Hannah, I think there's about 6, 7, with just a very basic, not basic.
Like a WeWork, it was like shared space.
And they were getting new chairs to take into the shared space. We only had one desk, or they at the time only had one desk. And they were walking out of the building to get chairs out the back of a van. Literally, as I was walking down Portland Street, he walked out of the door at that very same moment. So bearing in mind, he could have, 2 seconds earlier, he still would have been inside the building, would have missed him. 2-3 seconds later, he would have been inside the back of the van, would have missed him. The chances of that happening, I think, are so slim. And then we got talking, and I said, I've just got to drop out of Virgin, and I'm really inspired to really make an impact on something that I care about. I've got these skills, and he was like, come inside, come speak to Steve and Dom. And that's where it began, and it just you couldn't make that up.
And to give this context, so today Social Chain employs over 100 people, offices in 3 countries, offices probably more by the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's the journey. And that's only 3 years ago now, 2.5.
2.5, 3 years ago.
2.5 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
So we've got Sam over in New York City, in the US office. We've got a main headquarters for Europe in Germany, in Berlin. We're looking to go into India by the end of next month, waiting to confirm a couple of things, and Australia, because we've got a lot of clients that have presence over there and almost want us to help them in that market.
And there's
by the end of the year.
Sick beaches in Australia, so that's.
And
the
there's a lot more reasons for Australia.
There's no other reason than your clients want to go into Australia.
Yeah, that's.
Are we gonna have this as an honest podcast, or is this?
That's the business line. I'm gonna throw out some business lines. You can probably be more the truth. But bad cop, good cop.
I'll play truthful cop.
Truthful cop. As you can see, you comment before.
check yourself. Check yourself.
So I think it's good.
Mate, I've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I feel it's almost like therapy.
Yeah, just getting it out there, I think it's good. So we're going to continue to document, and each week we're going to try and have a real strong theme in which, whether it's learning, whether it's an interview with someone else, whether we're talking about a latest development with a campaign or social media or something that could really add, because what we want to do is not just document our story and get that out there, but try and be as positive and influence and make an impact on, well, me personally, make an impact, and I think you share a lot of the same vision, make an impact on other people's lives.
Yeah, because there's nothing better, and the old adage of it's better to give than receive, I think it's better to give in terms of your knowledge, your insight, things you know, your learnings. It feels great when you sort of, even things like helping Dodds in the gym. By no means are we, obviously we're super athletes, but by no means are we gym junkies. But just to help and see Dodds and how positive he is in the morning, that's great. And that's on a micro level. Take that on a macro level and go, actually, people like listening to us, like us as people, which hopefully they do. They'll tune in, you'll grow an audience, cultivate an audience and enhance their daily lives.
Yeah.
Maybe learn something from us. God help them.
Yeah.
God help them.
Yeah.
But look, we've got a failed Hollister model, and we've got...
It's going to be like this the whole way through, isn't it? And you've got...
self-proclaimed the cat. So I've done yoga twice, so
yeah. In terms of the self-confidence Oliver mentioned earlier, he genuinely believed, he said this he's just done a recent interview, congratulations, he got promoted to business director of Social Chain, big congrats, but in his interview was super engaging story about when he was 5 years old and what he used to write down, and he genuinely believed that when he was 5 he was going to be a professional football player for Manchester United and also President of the United States at the same time.
So Trump, watch out, and Mourinho, I'm waiting. And on that note, Beth's going to kill me if I don't go.
Right.
So
okay, I think last thing, just because for everyone who's still listening, quick insight from a betting perspective, or you who want to win a bit of money.
We didn't get on the McGregor thing.
This is what I'm going to say. From a betting perspective, we'll give our 2 cents now on how we think the fight will go and who to put your money on.
Right, I'm going deep. Yeah. Right, I'm going to give you some knowledge, because for those of you who don't know, I know my fighting. I've done a bit of Muay Thai. When I say I've done a bit, I've done quite a lot of Muay Thai. I've done boxing at a young age, so I know a little bit. So what's going to happen in this McGregor fight?
He's still getting beaten up by me.
Boxing, let's be real. Boxing enthusiasts will say, people who care about boxing, people who don't know MMA at all will say he has no chance. And McGregor has an 80% chance, a 90% chance he's going to lose. He's probably not going to get knocked out, but he's probably more than likely, I think there's an 85% chance he's going to lose a decision. Probably more. Mayweather's never really been touched. Mayweather's the best defensive boxer of all time, But he's a 40-year-old man, and McGregor's in his prime. And McGregor's going to be the first person that faces Mayweather that 100 without every ounce of spirit within his body believes he is going to knock him out with that left hand. He 100%, he's the first man, he's unbreakable mentally, and actually he's very unorthodox, so it's going to take Mayweather 2-3 rounds to figure his timing, because he's going to throw stuff differently. Mayweather's game is very much evasive, counter-puncher, but he's actually quite rough on the inside. He's got a good, underrated internal game. He can rough people up a little bit, and he can get those underhooks and frustrate fighters. What he does often is frustrates them through missing or through sort of slightly dirty boxing, and he hasn't got a chance in hell of dirty boxing McGregor. He's the bigger man, he can grapple, he's not going to rough up McGregor. McGregor's got a bigger reach, he's bigger. Arguably, I'm going to go not faster in the traditional sense or a jab, but he's a faster athlete, and he's a better athlete than, but he's not a boxer. If it's an MMA match, McGregor it's 100%, it's 99.9% chance that McGregor will win. In a boxing match, I'm going 80% Mayweather on decision. However, McGregor will surprise people and pick up a few rounds. So I think my prediction is Mayweather decision, but McGregor will surprise people and capture a few rounds early. The first 6 he might get 3 or 4, and I think he might get 3 or 4 rounds across the fight.
Yeah, and
That's my
I
pick.
think that point there in terms of the early rounds has always been the case. You look at Mayweather; he's the best in defensive fighter, but the best in terms of working people out. So he usually takes at least 2 to 3 rounds, and then he's got you. He's almost read your toolbox, what you've got in your locker, and he's found answer A, B, C, D, E, whatever you've thrown at him. He's then worked out.
But they're all boxers.
Yeah,
they're all boxers.
And
He's
for
not a
me,
boxer.
I think Mayweather wins on points if it goes a distance, just because of his skill and it's boxer and and all that.
Yeah,
but,
without a
but,
doubt.
but if you look at Mayweather's previous fights, he's always struggled against southpaws.
Mhm.
What is McGregor? A southpaw, and an unorthodox southpaw at that. He throws punches from the strangest, unorthodox angles you will ever see in your life.
He's the biggest man who's ever fought in terms of reach size. And you know what? It's just a good matchup, I think, for
Yeah.
McGregor. If you said to me, Canelo versus McGregor, I think Canelo would smash McGregor. Just because of the style of type of boxer he is.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd ever have a chance. Just with Mayweather being a little more defensive, his only ever struggles have been with boxers that are unorthodox. He's never struggled, but when he has been caught, it's been with unorthodox boxers. And McGregor's the most, without a doubt, unorthodox boxer he's ever had.
Yeah.
So prediction you're saying, so I'm saying a couple of rounds I'll pick, but I think it's going to be Mayweather on a decision. Be bold, grow a pair.
What
Go McGregor.
I'm saying McGregor knockout, round 3. Big and bold.
Like it.
Thanks
No,
very
I'm
much
not.
for listening, everyone.
Peace.
It's been good. I'm gonna go back to my my codeine now and get some rest.
I'm gonna go get a telling off from my girlfriend.
Out. Woo! That was sick.
Yeah,
I
enjoyed that.
also like really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
That's the important thing.
I had fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because I think it's a really good way to articulate thoughts. Like if we pick like researching, you know, when I write those articles, this is like the next level of that because you're like getting out.
And now it's quicker. You can do it. Right, let me save that. Save as. Found name.
Underground Social.
Underground Social episode 1.
Still filming. Oh yeah, still filming. Ollie's adopted the child pose from the yoga cat.
What date are we today?